The Friday Night Funkin' Indie Cross mod just dropped, and this one is very interesting because it's so well done and it has so many different characters in it with amazing backstories. In this video, I want to go over each of those characters and kind of explain the story as a whole, and of course why Boyfriend is in this situation to begin with. Now the mod starts out with us seeing Boyfriend in this black void and all these portals opening up around him. It's obvious that Boyfriend doesn't know what's going on because he's actually trying to get away from these portals opening up. But of course he is unable to escape and he ends up getting teleported to a different universe, it would seem. Now the first person that he ends up meeting is Cuphead, and what's interesting about this is that Cuphead seems to be looking for these portals opening up, and more importantly he's expecting something to be coming out of them. When he sees Boyfriend, he actually challenges him because he thinks Boyfriend is here to corrupt or do something to his land. And because of this, we see that Cuphead Boyfriend actually get into a rap battle and an actual physical altercation where Cuphead almost kills Boyfriend, it seems. Now for those of you that don't know, Cuphead is the main protagonist of the video game called Cuphead, and Mugman, the little other cup that we see in this mod, is actually his brother. And the land that they're on right now is called the Inkwell Isles. Some of you may also be wondering how Cuphead is strong enough to actually get Boyfriend to the point where he almost dies. And if you haven't played the Cuphead game, I can see why you would ask that question. But in reality, both of these little cups are actually extremely powerful. In the video game, we see that they lose a bet with the devil, and basically instead of losing their souls, they have to go out and become his enforcers, which means that they have to go around the island and basically beat up people who owe the devil and make good on their debts. And let's just say that some of the enemies that they were able to defeat were definitely more formidable than Boyfriend. A couple of fun facts about the Cuphead weeks are that the countdown timer is actually replaced with the boss intro from Cuphead, meaning that usually you get the 3, 2, 1, go countdown, but this one is actually directly from the Cuphead game. The second one is that Boyfriend's death animation during Cuphead's week is the death animation for both Cuphead and Mugman from the original game. But luckily, before Cuphead is able to just completely ex-Boyfriend, he gets teleported to a different universe. And this is where we actually get to meet Sans. Boyfriend is basically transported to the Undertale's universe, and more specifically, he arrives at the last corridor. Now for those of you who haven't played the game, you probably don't know why this is important, but the last corridor is also known as the Judgment Hall. And basically there's two different routes here. There's the neutral route and the genocide route. And if you're on the neutral route, this is where Sans basically judges the protagonist on their actions and earned XP. And if you're on the genocide route, this is where that Sans versus Fist battle takes place. I'm assuming you've all seen some type of reenactment of it or some animation of it on YouTube because it's super popular. And this is specifically where we meet Sans, and Sans even knows what happened last week, aka that Boyfriend almost got murdered by Cuphead. Sans agrees to have a rap battle with Boyfriend just to see if Boyfriend is actually going to attack him or not, which is interesting because when you first arrive, Sam basically says that he was hired to rip the flesh from Boyfriend and scatter his ashes across 6 different suns. And I always find it so interesting how Sans can be so chill while saying the most just outrageous, crazy sentences. And not to mention in the background, we see Fisk. And I'll be honest, I thought it was Chera because I can't tell the difference between the two sometimes. And they are basically slashing at this barrier trying to get through. This also implies that Fisk is finished with the genocide route and now they're planning to go after Sans. And when they do, we see that Sans actually kills Fisk, which ironically enough is actually the good ending in this part of the mod. Because as the mod ends, we actually see Boyfriend and Sans part on good terms, and Sans even tells him, I hope we see each other again soon. Now, since this is a good ending, obviously that means that there must be a bad ending. Now, in the bad ending, it seems that Fisk and Boyfriend are now sharing a body. I'm not sure if Fisk is trying to possess Boyfriend or if Boyfriend ends up absorbing Fisk's soul, but it seems to be a similar situation to the regular Undertale's game between Fisk and Chera. Now, after Sans and Boyfriend have another rap battle, Boyfriend actually tries to grab Fisk's knife and kill Sans. But Sans is able to use his ability to slam Boyfriend against a wall and completely obliterate him, leaving him on the ground almost paralyzed. And this is where Fisk has the opportunity to actually backstab Sans, but not without consequence because Sans uses his bone ability to take him out as well. So the bad ending basically ends with Sans and Fisk both going down and Boyfriend being teleported to a different universe. Now, before we move on to the third official week, I want to talk about Papyrus because he's also a major character in Undertale's. He's Sans' brother, and he also serves as your opponent in a secret song called Boondoogles. Now, I won't go into too much details about Papyrus because he's not a major character in this mod, but his character as a whole is actually very good. Despite his brass kind of cocky personality, he's actually very good at heart. In the actual Undertale's game, even when he's faced with death, he's willing to like sacrifice himself to make sure that the protagonist or the main character ends up going down a good route. I think the reason that I really like Papyrus so much is that even though he's very cocky and he thinks very highly of himself, he also believes in other people just as much as he believes in himself. In my eyes, he reminds me of like a Luffy type character, maybe just a little bit smarter, and I really like that about him. Now, in week 3, we see that Boyfriend gets transported to the Bendy universe, and more specifically, it looks like he's in the studio. Now, initially, Boyfriend is just battling against a paper cutout of Bendy, but at the end of that first song, he ends up hitting that paper cutout with his mic, and this attracts Inkbendy. Now, for those of you that don't know, Inkbendy is basically the main antagonist of the Bendy franchise, and a failed attempt at creating the studio's popular mascot, Bendy, in real life. Basically, they wanted to bring the cartoon character to reality, but it turned out being defective along with several other physical cartoon characters due to lacking a soul. Inkbendy is actually more like a demon than a mascot, and it basically threatens anybody that's in its area. In a reality, threaten is too tame of a word. What I mean to say is that he will viciously chase down whoever is in his area and basically pummel them to death. We see this in the mod where he literally chases Boyfriend all around the studio and almost kills him. He's literally throwing him through walls and slamming him into the ground. Inkbendy has no mercy for anybody. So some of you may have noticed that there's a person in the background of the Bendy week and also that has a secret song called Ritual, and this person's name is actually Sammy Lawrence, or aka Sammy. He's a minor antagonist in Bendy and the Ink Machine, and he also worships Inkbendy. The lore tells us that Sammy was actually the music department director at Joey Drew's studio, managing the orchestra and sound recording. It's currently unknown why he became trapped in the studio, but at some point he was corrupted by the ink from the ink machine and turned into a humanoid monster. The sad part about his corruption is that before he was corrupted, he was actually a pretty good guy. He was a little bit sarcastic, but he was definitely hardworking and he loved what he did. But it seems that after he was corrupted by the ink, he had a mental breakdown and he ended up becoming this bloodthirsty, sadistic being that just only desired to serve Inkbendy. What's even more sad is that he still has enough of his mental health to understand that he's trapped in his studio and that he needs to get out, but his mind is too far gone to actually make any progress in that mission. So he'll basically forever be trapped in this space. Now, some fun facts about the Cross Indie mod is that it's currently one of the most well-developed and well-animated mods in the community. It has a total of 40 developers, 21 songs, and more than 1 hour of gameplay. Another fun fact about this mod is that this is one of the first mods that actually makes it to where Boyfriend voice changes after each song. And also where we don't see Girlfriend in any part of the mod. There are a few mods that do this, but they are fairly rare. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this video where I fully explain the Below the Death mod, aka the Sinking Sonic mod, or check out this video where I show you all the cutscenes from the Indie Cross mod. Also people, if you're enjoying the content, consider becoming a member on the channel for as low as $1.99 a month. You'll get access to channel emotes, badges, custom Friday Night Funkin' artwork every month, and you'll get priority chat, meaning that your messages get sent directly to me. As always, people, thank you for watching. This is Orseofkorse. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace, peace.